Hello, good afternoon, friends and foes. My name is Farid El Diwani, retired Lincoln's Inn solicitor, and from 1989 to 1998, the commercial property solicitor with the Port of London Authority. Now you can see in front of you my book entitled Charles Russell Speechlys and Mr. Justice J. Solicitors Regulation Authority in the dock. And further down you can see another subtitle, a nice big picture of Mr. Justice J in the middle, and nice long history to this, but one of the most embarrassing and humiliating episodes ever for Charles Russell Speechlys, and it began in 2010. So for those of you who joined Charles Russell Speechlys after that, listen up, because you are gonna love this. So, late last year, I sent a copy of this book to Mr. Justice J at the Royal Court of Justice, addressed to him, of course, and Amazon delivered it. And a few weeks later, I was in the Middle Temple Hall, the dining rooms there, where members of the public are allowed to go, and I knew from previous occasions that Mr. Justice J dined there during his lunch hour, across the road from the Royal Court of Justice. So I went along again, had a couple of guests with me, or three of them actually. 3 guests with their little boy, and an Egyptian couple with their little boy. And I saw Mr. Justice J, and I had a copy of my book on him with me. So when he came to pay for his meal, I walked up to him with a copy of my book. And I said, "Hi, I'm Mr. El Diwani. Here's a copy of my book." And he said, "I've already got it." So I thought, great. I sent it to the Royal Court of Justice and you actually got it. It was given to you. So he said he didn't want another copy, and all I said to him was, "You are an Islamophobe." And I walked away, and so did he. So he's got the book. Now, Mr. Justice J fancies himself as a hotshot judge, and certainly a hotshot barrister. And people will surely recall, lawyers will surely recall, the case of Serafin versus Malkiewicz. Malkiewicz was a Polish gentleman suing for libel. It was a Polish versus Polish matter, and it occurred in June 2020, and the Supreme Court excoriated Mr. Justice J for his, and I quote, "barrage of hostility towards the Polish libel claimant for using immoderate, ill-tempered, and at times offensive language." The Supreme Court were furious with him. The Court of Appeal were also furious with Mr. Justice J for his disgraceful behaviour, and he was given a royal kick up the arse. So that's the kind of chap we've got, brought down a peg or two, and certainly an Islamophobe for refusing to condemn me being told to go fuck out of the camel, and supporting Charles Russell Speechlys in their disgraceful conduct when acting for a liar, cheat and abuser in the Norwegian police Sergeant Toril Sauter and her Ministry of Justice and Police in 2010. And I wanted Charles Russell Speechlys and the solicitor who acted for them at the time, James Quatermain, prosecuted for misconduct. for bringing the profession into disrepute. Now, why so? I was the Port of London Authority commercial property solicitor from 1989 to 1998. And the client of Charles Russell Speechlys, one Police Sergeant Toril Sauter, told 3 million readers of Dagbladet newspaper in Norway in 2005 that from 1992 to 1994 I had been locked up in a psychiatric hospital. So that's 2 years, which oddly enough the Port of London Authority did not notice my absence of 2 years. Wonder why that was. Perhaps because it wasn't fucking true. Was it, James Quatermain, you lying, cheating bastard? For proclaiming to Mrs. Justice Sharp in 2010 that I was clearly mentally unstable, for calling his client a liar, cheat and abuser, as I had not spent 2 seconds in any fucking mental hospital. Then Police Sergeant Toril Sauter is clearly a liar, cheat and abuser for saying that I'm a fantasist and making it up, that she is a liar and corrupt. She is a liar and corrupt. And on the same day as Toril Sauter tells the nation that I've been locked up for 2 years, in comes the worst, most awful hate emails imaginable, declared a hate crime by the Essex Police and referred to Interpol Norway, emails telling me to go fuck out of the kennel, that my semen is only fit for a pig, asked if I lick the arseholes of pigs clean before eating them, told that Muslims are the root of all evil, told that someone's going to fuck my mother because she likes white men, told that the Prophet Muhammad was a confused paedophile. All those emails I received from Norway the moment Charles Russell Speechlys' client told the most preposterous lie to the whole fucking country that I, quoted as the half-Arab Muslim man, had been locked up for 2 years in a motherfucking mental hospital. Total motherfucking shit. Because I had not been, for 2 seconds, 1992 to 1994, in any mental hospital. It was a complete fabrication. And what's more, James Quatermain, Charles Russell Speechlys, in 2010, had my family doctor's letter saying that I'd never been in receipt of any psychiatric treatment at all. Okay? It was a complete fabrication, but Charles Russell Speechlys, being the hotshots they are, instructing some motherfucker from 5 Raymond Buildings, a barrister called David Hurst, whose head of chambers was Mark Warby QC at the time, now Lord Justice Warby, employing allowing to work in the chambers a rampant Islamophobe and bigot David Hurst, and claiming to represent the truth on behalf of the Norwegian Ministry of Justice, that I am clearly mentally unstable, for calling their client Police Sergeant Toril Sauter a liar, cheat and abuser over her ludicrous claim to 2.5 million people, readers in Norway, that I'd been locked up for 2 years in a fucking mental hospital. So, Mrs. Justice Sharp delivers her judgment in 2011, in July 2011. And it was an iniquitous, Islamophobic, full of shit judgment, because she is a cheat, that woman. And I'm glad to say that I think my book on her ensured she did not get the post of Lord Chief Justice or Lady Chief Justice when Sir Ian Burnett retired. Why? Because she is an Islamophobe and a cheat. So, Mrs. Justice Sharp got instant karma for her judgment in a way, because in the same week as she delivered judgment, my opponents, my High Court opponents, the Ministry of Justice and the Police Norway, had their entire building blown up in Oslo by the Muslim hater and terrorist Anders Breivik, who killed 7 people in that with his van bomb, and he also caused the in-house lawyer acting for the ministry, who instructed Charles Russell and 5 Raymond Buildings, a chap called Christian Rausch. He was injured in the blast and was off sick for the next 16 months. And also the newspaper who wrote about me in Norway in 1995, Verdens Gang, they are also they had their offices in the same building, and they were destroyed by, ironically, a Muslim hater, Anders Breivik, who went on to murder 69 kids at the Utoya summer camp a few kilometres up the road from Oslo, because they represented the ruling Labour Party, who Breivik thought had allowed too many Muslim immigrants to come into Norway. But the government of Norway is one thing, and the far-right press are another. And I'm sure Anders Breivik had read every single one of the 22 front pages made on me in the Norwegian press, thanks to my registered mental patient ex-girlfriend Heidi Schön, who Mr. Justice Saini in 2021, in paragraph 65 of his judgment, described her as a liar who sold her stories for financial gain. So that was the instant karma for Mrs. Justice Sharp, Charles Russell Speechlys, James Quatermain, and 5 Raymond Buildings. And guess what? Lord Justice Warby couldn't remember a thing in 2023 when he was presiding over another case of mine, whether I was to stay on the roll of solicitors. Why? Because my NorwayUncovered.com website got me a conviction in Norway for harassment. Oh, surprise, surprise. The Norwegians didn't like my website, so they tell me when I'm over there suing in the civil courts, they arrest me at the door of the courtroom when the case had finished because of harassment for my website, NorwayUncovered.com. And next day, alone with the public prosecutor, one called Ingen Hodner, a lady, she says to me, Mr. Eldawani, if you do not freely and voluntarily confess your guilt to harassment of Heidi Schön for describing her sexual and psychiatric history, you will be going straight to prison. And I said, what about freedom of speech in reply to your newspapers with Heidi Schön fronting the press stories, telling the whole nation about me? I have a right of reply. Oh, no, said Ingen Hodder. The law is different in this country. The press stories are one thing, and your revelations of Heidi Schön are another. They are not connected. When I said they are connected, because if she hadn't written in the press filthy, stinking lies about me, I wouldn't have put a website up, would I? Oh, no, sorry, Mr. Eldawani, you're not in England now. If you don't plead guilty, freely and voluntarily, you are going straight to prison. And this was in 2003. So obviously, to get out of the country, I had to plead guilty. Now, the motherfucking SRA, the Solicitors Regulation Authority, said, we can't look behind the conviction. A conviction's a conviction. It doesn't matter what caused it. And if you didn't like it, you should have gone to appeal. You should have gone back to Norway to appeal. So I told the SRA, being public enemy number 1 for 12 years in 22 front pages, calling me a Muslim sex terrorist, and all the names under the sun, There wasn't a crime I hadn't committed, all described by my lying, cheating bitch of a former girlfriend who had become a Christian fanatic and hated Muslims with a passion. She led the worst Islamophobic hate campaign against obviously Muslims in the history of the Norwegian press. And those bastards at the SRA, especially Chris Boyce, some big wanker who doesn't know what he's fucking doing, to say that Charles Russell Speechlys had to represent their client's best interests and therefore he is not going to investigate James Quatermain for his misconduct and misleading the court. What a bitch of a thing to do. As Charles Russell knew perfectly well their client was a fucking liar over me being locked up for 2 years in a mental hospital, then there's no way they can carry on and claim I'm mentally ill. It's the worst attack imaginable, especially as for 12 years all the Norwegian press were calling me was Muslim man. 19 times they named me Muslim man in the Bergens Tidende newspaper of 24th of May 1995. So, Charles Russell Speechlys have got away with it. And Mr. Justice J covered up completely because the judiciary are out to get me because I wrote a book on Mrs. Justice Sharp. I've got a website on her as well, and they hate my guts with a passion. And nothing is going to stop them trying to break me. I've even got the Office of the Lord Chief Justice engaging in a virulent smear campaign which has involved the Metropolitan Police and the Essex Police. There's some stinking, filthy liars as well there. And I'm not surprised Sir Ian Burnett has resigned. Bit early, isn't it, Sir Ian, to resign at 65? You're my age, man. You know. So, something stinks up there, and it's all down to Islamophobia. There isn't a single full-time Muslim judge at the Royal Courts of Justice. There isn't a single full-time black judge at the Royal Courts of Justice. The November 2022 Manchester University report called Racial Bias in the Bench has alleged institutional racism, which includes Islamophobia, by the way, against the judiciary. And I'm not surprised. You've got scum like Lady Justice Sharp, Mr. Justice J, Lord Justice Bean, Mr. Justice Ben Nathan, Mr. Justice Sweeting. They are virulent Islamophobes. And something has to change. But anyway, you can see at the bottom of this book here, I've put a little asterisk there. British law firm Charles Russell Speechlys with an office in Doha in Qatar. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to my friends and co-religionists in Qatar. And Doha is important to me because my cousin's uncle, His Excellency Adil Sherbini, was for 40 years the legal advisor to the Emir, the ruler of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamid Al Thani, and he awarded my relative the Hamid bin Khalifa Sash, that is to His Excellency Adil Ahmad Al Sherbini in 2019, who is married to my cousin. So I will be having this book translated into Arabic and distributed, not just in English, but in Arabic to the great and the good in Qatar in due course. And you will remember, I hope, that Mr. Justice J received a royal kick up the arse from the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal for his treatment, in fact abuse, of a Polish litigant before him. It was the case of Serafin versus Malkiewicz. Serafin versus Malkiewicz of June 2020, when he was excoriated by the Supreme Court for his, quote, barrage of hostility towards a Polish libel claimant, for his immoderate, ill-tempered and at times offensive language. So, there we have it. Now, Mr. Justice J, being the shit that he is, he said that my application for judicial review for James Quatermain, for the SRA not investigating the big boys. That's right, the SRA always go after the little people, don't they? But not the big boys. Not the big boys. So Mr. Justice J said that my application is hopeless and unmeritorious, but he gave no reasons whatsoever. So I wrote to his clerk and I said, look, could you please ask Mr. Justice J to at least give me some reasons to make me understand, a solicitor of 30 years, make me understand why my application is unmeritorious and hopeless, because I have no idea. Okay? So the clerk comes back to me to say, Mr. Justice J has nothing to add. So I appeal and go to Lord Justice Bean, and Lord Justice Bean says to me, in his order, yes, Mr. Justice J's reasons are very brief, but brevity can be excused on this occasion. And I'm thinking, well, Lord Justice Bean, please give me a reason why my application is unmeritorious, and he doesn't. So, nice big cover up there. Even Lord Justice Bean cannot bring himself to condemn me being told to go fuck out of the camel. So, not to have the humanity for the central issue, the whole catalyst for my libel litigation was receipt of those emails, which were declared a hate crime by the Essex Police and referred to Interpol, by the way. They were the catalyst for my litigation, because I then found out that I'd made the newspapers. So, essential evidence, and absolutely essential for interfaith relations, that filth, which, as I said, had been declared a hate crime by the Essex Police and referred to Interpol, that it be condemned. And not only that, in 2014, my MP, now Lord Pickles, wrote to Lord Chancellor Chris Grayling to ask for a meeting to change the judicial conduct rules to make it an offence of judicial misconduct for a judge like Mrs. Justice Sharp not to condemn such Islamophobic filth. No meeting was granted. Chris Grayling told Eric Pickles to tell me I must appeal. That's all I can do. So I did appeal, and in 2023, again, Lord Justice Popplewell twice refused to condemn that email filth. And when I asked him, I said, I told him you're Islamophobic for not condemning me being told to go fuck out of the camel. He writes back to me in an order saying I'm not Islamophobic. Well, you are fucking Islamophobic. If you can't condemn me being told to go fuck out of the camel, that my semen is only fit for a pig, that Muslims are the root of all evil, then you are Islamophobic. I just don't get you. You're living on a different planet. And also, Mr. Justice Popple is offended because I did a book on him. Okay, I did a whole book on him called Lord Justice Popplewell the Pharisee. It's subtitled The Pharisee under my pen name of Frederick Delaware. So, yes, buy this book. It's nice and cheap from Amazon. And you can get into the detail of it, because the devil lies in the detail, and all those working at Charles Russell Speechlys for the good of humanity, for justice and for God, don't believe it. You've got someone like Jonathan Whitehead, a partner in Charles Russell Speechlys, who blocked all my emails to him. I was asked by the High Court to get a letter out of him, and I had to write to the High Court told me to write to Jonathan Whitehead to get an answer from him, and when I tried, my emails were blocked. And so I had to deliver it by post, recorded delivery, and even then he didn't reply to me. He replied to the court, the High Court, who then sent me a copy of his letter. So I didn't know for weeks that he'd written to the High Court just to say James Quatermain had left and that they no longer act for the Ministry of Justice. No, but your firm participated in a foul Islamophobic behaviour against me at the time, and he must have had a supervising solicitor, a partner who supervised James Quatermain. James Quatermain left for Ince & Co, Axiom Ince, and we know what happened to them, so James Quatermain has left Axiom Ince. So a bit of trouble for you, James, but you are a shit for going along with your client's filthy motherfucking lie, telling the whole fucking nation of Norway that I've been locked up for 2 years. That is a life-ruining libel, okay, and it's been covered up by Mrs. Justice Sharp, and you can see why in my book. Okay, so tough shit to Mrs. Justice Sharp for not getting the post of Lady Chief Justice on the retirement of Sir Ian Burnett, and I hope that my book on you ensured that you didn't get the post. See, what goes around comes around. There's a rottenness to the core up there at the Royal Courts of Justice, vile Islamophobia, and I'm glad that I got as far as Inspector Jeff Cook at the Met Police trying to talk to the Crown Prosecution Service, or talking to the Crown Prosecution Service to prosecute Lord Justice Popplewell for his misconduct in public office over Islamophobia. So, you old members of the judiciary, you'll be retired sooner or later. You'll be forgotten. You'll die alone in your beds. And then you'll face God. And I hope he makes you rot in hell. All of you. Anyway, that's it. This is the end, and I'm looking forward to Tottenham Hotspur playing Brentford tonight. And if any of you are interested, go along and watch my best friend, the drummer in Uriah Heep. They're playing with Saxon, Judas Priest in a United Kingdom tour in March, ending at the Wembley Arena on the 21st of March this year. So that's Uriah Heep on with Saxon and Judas Priest. All the best, and take care, my friends. Bye-bye.